So I'm standing here with Ole Taustrup, CEO from 2curex. Ole, 2curex is a company within the area of precision medicine. Can you explain what that means and tell us about your area of focus?
I certainly can. I would actually say that we are in the area of precision treatment, or maybe you should say individualized treatment, because precision medicine is a term, a concept that relates to new drugs. It actually sort of the former term was personalized medicine. The idea being that you can develop one drug that only fits you and not me. And that's not where we are. We are not in new drugs. What we do is that we design individualized treatment. So that's the difference. But the basic idea is simply that especially cancer patients are very different. The disease is so different, they respond completely differently. Even the same patient respond differently to a treatment we give them sort of a year later. They may not respond or they will. So we need to design often a combination of drugs, approved drugs on the market that fits exactly you. That's what we call individualized treatment and not medicine.
Can you further explain what the benefits are for the patients, doctors, hospital, and maybe the society as a whole for using your method?
And then I would actually I'll probably take the patients and the doctors as one group, because we have this significant problem that first-line treatment only works in around 25-30% of the patients. And so if we do not choose wisely as the first treatment, the patient could be in a desperate situation. So I would say their patients and doctors have the same interest, obviously, that they want to provide an efficacious treatment up front. And we all know cancer is in most cases, a devastating disease. So I'm not standing here saying that we can cure all cancers. But what we hope is that some of these patients can be turned into a chronic situation, so that they may need to go through an IndiTreat test after some years again, because they may have a relapse. Then it's just like allergy or any other chronic disease. So that would obviously be a major benefit to patients and doctors. If I should look at society, obviously there is a financial gain. There's a huge interest we can see now in getting more mileage out of the drugs we have. And we need to realize that we have a lot of very effective drugs on the market. We shouldn't forget that we every day save cancer patients with existing drugs. The problem is that there's not a single drug that works in all patients. So there is a tendency to see, can we get more out of the drugs we have? It's fine we get new drugs, but let's get more of the ones we have. And therefore, I think there's been a significant interest from some of the committees that decide on what drugs, what treatments should be offered in this technology, because there you sort of use what you have on the shelf.
Recently, 2curex, you initiated a study with Rikshospitalet. Can you tell us about that study in ovarian cancer and what it means to the investors of 2curex?
Yes, we went public in November with a product in colorectal cancer. And we have used a number of years to develop that, to test it clinically, to identify clinical partners, major hospitals, especially in Denmark, Germany, and the UK. And we decided that we really want to sort of go full-hearted into colorectal cancer, to understand it, to come up with good solutions. But now it's running, and we have a clinical study. And then we felt, okay, let's try to see how broadly applicable IndiTreat is. And there, within very few months, actually, we have shown that it works very well in ovarian cancer. And I think that is a major benefit, not the least obviously, to the women inflicted with this terrible disease. And the other is that we have suddenly shown that IndiTreat is not a sort of one pony product or horse or whatever you call it. It's a broadly applicable technology. And you could say the two patient groups sort of are interesting because they are covering different spaces. Colorectal cancer patients are in general older, on average 70 years of age when they are diagnosed. We see that 1/5 of these have metastatic disease, which is what they die from. In ovarian cancer, they are younger, about 10 years younger on average. And 75% of these women have metastatic disease. So it's a disease that is often called the silent killer because it's discovered so late. And therefore there's a desperate need to find an effective treatment as soon as possible. So I think those two areas match very well.
2curex, you have also opened a screening laboratory in Germany. Can you tell us more about that and what it means to 2curex?
That's correct. We have opened a commercial screening lab in Hamburg. 2curex have taken the strategy that we will sort of our way into the market is through Europe. And there, Germany is so obvious to us for a number of reasons. Obviously, it's the biggest country. But beyond that, one of the three founders of 2curex is German. We have 2 board members that are German. We have, almost from the beginning, been situated at a major university hospital in Hamburg. So it was so obvious for us that the first commercial lab outside Denmark would be in Hamburg. And Hamburg, I mean, the interesting thing is that the greater Hamburg area is sort of population-wise at the size of Denmark. So it's a huge market, and so that's the major reason. And I would also like to say that we have decided that every market where we launch the product, we want to have operational activities. We can see that it is so important that we are sort of entrenched in the hospital system. And we will do the same with the other countries. Germany is just the first.
Okay. Talking about the risk profile of 2curex, there's been lately several IPOs on the Swedish market within the biotech sector. What differs 2curex from the other companies in terms of risk reward?
That's correct that we have seen a number of listings of life science companies over the last few years, and they are primarily drug discovery companies. And there I think it's very important for 2curex to sort of distinguish ourselves. I was actually approached by an analyst from SEB recently that said, well, you need to show much more clearly that your risk profile is different. I mean, a drug discovery company that succeeds, there is a tremendous gain, but it's only a few percent. Whereas 2curex, I mean, we have a product on the market in 2020. We are already using it. Drugs are there. So we have a completely different risk profile. Lower risk. We also have to accept that the gain is lower than these highly successful drug discovery companies. So I think we will need to go out and sort of state this more clearly, that for investors, 2curex have a different risk reward profile than the drug discovery companies.
What milestones do you expect to achieve in the near future and maybe further down the road?
Yeah, I mean, what I've learned as a listed company is that you certainly need to deliver on the milestones you set. And therefore, we have really sort of thought about that and want to make sure that that happens. I mean, one very important one is that we need to finalize our clinical trial in colorectal cancer. We will here this year get the IndiTreat CE marked. So we have CE registration at that time. And we also want to obviously launch the product, which we believe will be in 2020. And then the next, if I should take one more, that would be to finalize, obviously, the clinical trial in ovarian cancer. I think that's important milestones. To reach some of these milestones, we also need to set up operations in other countries. And there you will see some activity from us in the near future.
Thank you. Very interesting. We thank Olle Taustrup, CEO from 2curex.